Money isn't real. Doesn't matter. It only seems like it does.
What is up, everyone? Welcome back to the Ruckus with Alex Hymes. Yes, today's the first day of the official new studio being open, done, and built. I'm proud to announce that it's finally done. It's looking good. Hopefully you guys are liking the new digs. You know, I put a little bit of time, effort into this, given the last week. My father's been out of town in Florida visiting my grandmother, so I'm liking the way it looks. We got the greens, the blacks, the sports memorabilia, and we even got Gohan Super Saiyan 2 from Dragon Ball Z making an appearance to my right. So without further ado, we're going to jump right into it, and today we got a special guest for you. We got a man from out east. Yes, I said, you know, I'm giving shout outs to everyone that from that side of the country, my mom's side of the neck of the woods and whatnot. And right now we have one of the two leading men from MikeDropSports, Mike. My friend Mike, give yourselves an introduction. Welcome to the program. How's it going, man?
It's going great, Alex. Thanks for having me. For those of you listening, my name is Mike Schneid, part of MikeDropSports.com. We have our Mike Drop daily articles that you can subscribe to via email. Check them out every day. Comprehensive recaps of the previous day's top stories and the memorable moments. A lot of Super Bowl coverage coming up this week. We have our daily themes, including Women Wednesday, where we spotlight some of the powerful, influential women that may not get enough credit in the world of sports. Weekly podcast. Follow us on Instagram at MikeDropSports. Follow me on Twitter at MSSchneid, SCHNEID. And thanks for tuning in. And thanks for having me, Alex.
Yeah, no problem, man. And just for a little bit more info, people, I want to give a big shout out to Mike for making it on the show. Mike Schneid. Don't forget to follow him on social media. Mike Schneid on Twitter. Mike Drop Sports on Instagram and Facebook. Don't forget to check out their website where they talk about sports on the regular. You already heard about how they have weekly themes, certain days where they do different themes for different people, different sports. I love it. The website layout is marvelous and it's beautiful. And also, don't forget to check out their podcast, which can be heard on their website, iTunes, Spotify, and Google Podcasts. They're the guys. They're the men. I love it. And also, for those tuning out in Lexington, this man is a UC alum. Yes, University of Cincinnati. We got to give respect and cred where it's due, man. I love it, and it's good to have you on the show. So let's jump right in, Mike. We got to talk about the NFL. The blown Saints-Rams pass interference call. Now, let's get some background into this, okay? So, now, the game was decided, or quote-unquote decided, by that crucial play, right? Drew Brees is down the field, going to make a throw that looks like it's about to get caught, and the Saints are looking like they're ready to face off against the Pats in the Super Bowl. But that's not how it ended. Cornerback Robbie Coleman, nickel Robbie Coleman, decided to make a ballsy play. And by ballsy, I mean it was clearly a pass interference and also head-to-head contact on the play on the Saints wide receiver, Tommy Lee Lewis. Okay, and that call went missed, not called whatsoever. And if that call was made, I saw the statistic, the Saints were 98% chance for winning that game. So, my question to you is, first off, do you think that play decided the game? Let's go with that first.
It did not. I'm so glad we're starting with this because I've been so wound up and riled up about this topic for a week. Sure, the timing of it was not optimal. And obviously it was a blown call and it was horrible the way that it happened. But no, that call did not decide the game. You know what decided the game? When they were up 13-0. Because they didn't score 2 touchdowns on their first 2 possessions. The Saints kicked 2 field goals. After the Saints took the field goal to go up 23-20, they then gave up a field goal from 47 yards with 1:26 to go.
Very true.
They had the ball first in overtime. Everyone's, complaining about the Chiefs-Patriots game that, only one team got the ball. The overtime rules stink. Saints got the ball first, and they threw an interception, and then Greg Zuerlein kicked a 57-yard field goal. So, and the Saints also chose to throw the ball 3 times from inside the 10 with 2 minutes to go. So I sympathize because the call was horrible, and it was blatant. But you can't tell me that call cost the Saints cost the Saints. And I also hate this because the Rams earned it. The Rams played outstanding. They were down 13-0 in a place where you couldn't hear a thing. They fought back. They battled the adversity. Good for them being the first team to ever beat Drew Brees and Sean Payton in the Superdome in the playoffs. I hate the fact that we're still talking about this a week later and we're discrediting the Rams, who are a great team and absolutely deserve to win.
100%. I mean, before we get on to the whole, discrediting and whatnot, which I completely agree with, we've heard it on ESPN where analysts have been saying, I think it was Damian Woody actually in particular who said, we got to stop talking about this because the focus now should be on the Rams and the Patriots, which it should be. Those are the two teams who are in the Super Bowl. And the whole point of that argument, though, was talking about Roger Goodell, which we'll get to in a moment. But my focus wants to remain on that in particular play. So I went back and I watched some footage of the play and how it went down. If you watch from where Brees throws, right, there are two blatantly obvious missed calls. There's a holding call that's missed, and there's face mask that's being missed right in front of them. Two calls that would have gone against the Saints, all right? So let's just make it clear for Saints fans. They got away with that one, and they don't have to worry too much about that. Because if they had those plays called against them, the game would have been a different outcome. Plays would have been different, of course. Then, on top of that, that play also, if those were called on top of the pass interference, if it was called, would have negated each other entirely. So the play would have continued. So, of course, Saints fans can blame the referees however much they want, claiming that they ruined the game, that it was decided by them. They can pull these stories out like I saw earlier where they're claiming that those referees in particular had ties to Southern California. But at the end of the day, the game was won fair and square. Sure, that one play was missed and overblown, but...
Well, can we talk about that for a second? So the rest are from California, but like you just said, they missed blatant calls against the Saints or against the Rams.
Yeah, 100%.
So did they just realize, oh my God, there's a minute 30, we have to screw the Saints now because we forgot to before?
Exactly.
I mean, why didn't they do it earlier? Like, look, we both have family from California. That doesn't mean they're going to screw the Saints. I mean, California didn't have a football team for 30 years. I think it's insane that that's a story today.
California's a big state, too. A lot of people are from here. Doesn't mean that they're going to have any type of, favoring of one side or another. And at the end of the day, look, the game was won by an amazing kick. All right, let's give it to Greg. A 57-yarder to win it in overtime. At that point, you just got to shake your hands of it and walk away. It's the end of the game. That's it.
And that might have been good from 70. I mean, he crushed it. And apparently he's hurt. He's questionable for the Super Bowl.
Yeah, and...
so he kicked that injured.
To me, this entire conversation about whether or not the game was called correctly or not is just an entire smokescreen for the Saints to find something to complain about, considering that they didn't make it to the Super Bowl after a great season. It's not like it was a one-sided missed call victory. It was missed calls on both sides. Calls that either should have been made or shouldn't have been made were also made. So I think by the end of it, it's pretty fair. It's just the angle and the timing of that play in particular was so egregious and so visible on television that Saints fans were going to throw a fit. And understandably so, in the moment, I would have done the same thing, and I was the same person saying that play ruined the game. But then you see other angles, like the one I mentioned where the two plays that were missed on the interior. It's like, well, man, you can't pick and choose on missed plays here. It's either all missed plays led to this outcome or none of them. So,
do you think pass interference should be reviewable in the future?
Do I believe pass interference should be reviewable? I do. That's my personal opinion.
It could be a messy thing. I mean, this play obviously should have been reviewable. Maybe it's the last 2 minutes.
And that's why I say that, because this play in particular is a textbook example as to why pass interference should be reviewable down the road. But of course, it's a double-edged sword. You have certain plays where the lightest of touching can be construed as pass interference, which could be a problem.
Of course, and that could be the messy thing with reviewing it, but it's so tricky because something like this is just too obvious.
And you could even have it capped like pass interference is reviewable in the last 2 minutes of a game or last 4 minutes.
I think that's how it should be, in the last 2 minutes.
Yeah, and that's fair enough, because those are when the decisions that the referees make that are either missed or made really do determine the outcome of a game. And although I said this one didn't determine the outcome of a game, it does play a major part in how the public views it. And if the NFL has been making great strides for, doing after action reviews and telling the public and also teams like they did that they missed that call at the end of the game, if they're making those steps, they should make steps to also appease players during the game, not just after the game. On that note, we got to talk about the next best part of the Super Bowl. Since we're talking about the Saints, the Saints, LOL. We're talking about the Rams and we're talking about the Patriots. This is a tale of two cities, man. I mean, nothing could have been scripted better. I've been saying it since we got the matchup declared. This is a magical year. The fact that you have the two most storied sports cities in the States going head to head, not once, but twice in a sports championship series in the same year is beautiful, man. You have Boston holding 17 NBA championships, 9 World Series, 6 Stanley Cups, 5 Lombardi trophies. And you have the LA teams holding a total of 16 NBA championships, 6 World Series, 2 Stanley Cups, and I'm going to give them that 1 Lombardi trophy when they were when they were in St. Louis. I'm not going to be that picky. So we have the two most storied franchises going up again in the same year, and we're expecting at some point the Lakers and the Celtics, respectively, LeBron with the Lakers, Kyrie with the Celtics, that story making it even that much better, going up against each other at some point down the road. Is this the best rivalry in sports?
I'm not sure that it is. It's hard for me to say without having emotional ties to these individual cities, but here's why I say it might not be. I understand the history of the Celtics-Lakers, but to me, I've only seen 2 of these finals matchups, and it hasn't been one of those in 8 years. The Lakers haven't been good or relevant since 2010. The Kings and the Bruins have never faced each other in the Stanley Cup.
Nope.
Dodgers-Red Sox has happened twice. Obviously last year in 2018, and before that in 1916. So, for me, thinking about the New York, Boston, the proximity of it, and the hatred between teams that play way more frequently, there's no history between LA and Boston football. This will be the first.
This is the first
big game of it, but there's so much hatred between Boston and New York, and it's easy for me to say that because I'm in it. I hear it all the time. But you get 18 Red Sox-Yankees games a year. Growing up as a Knicks fan, I despise the Celtics. Patriots fans may not believe that the Jets are a thing, but Jets fans despise the Patriots. So there's so much more hatred coming out of New York to Boston. I don't think people in LA wake up with hatred in their bodies for the Boston sports teams. But I might be wrong because I'm not there.
Okay, so I know for a fact that from a standpoint of LA fans waking up with hatred, because I went to high school in Los Angeles, being the lone Celtic fan, really, at Beverly Hills High School. And I got so much hatred. During the 2010 finals, I was that kid that posted a status about the Celtics being up at halftime, I think it was 13 points, saying that the Celtics were going to get banner 18. So what ended up happening? Celtics lost. And I had to remove that status update from Facebook because a guy by the name of Omid Chamoil, who's still a good friend of mine, shout out to you, Omid, because you still have me having PTSD to this very day, gave me so much crap. Next day, I just had to sit there and take it. I had band with him, so I had to sit there and take it, and he laughed at me so much. Let me tell you, 2010 was a rough year. I cried after the Celtics lost. My stepdad, who is a very big Laker fan, even felt bad because of how much I was crying, right? So that rivalry is set. But in terms of the New York-Boston rivalry, I completely agree with you, man. I completely agree. There is not actually, I can give you the exact skit from a TV show that sums up my emotions, barring they don't have as many teams listed in that skit. It's the Family Guy skit where Peter's saying blank the Knicks, blank the Mets, blank the Nets, blank the Jets, blank the Giants. And now you can add the Nets to that, and you can add the Rangers to that, and all of which, because, man, I hate New York teams. I hate it. I hate it.
And look, and to me, it's a frequency thing. I totally respect
100%.
the history of the LA-Boston rivalries. But, having not really grown up in it, having not really seen the Lakers-Celtics stuff, and with them not really, going at it the last couple of years. I mean, even Patriots and the Jets hate each other, but you also have to put the Giants in there because the Giants knocked them off twice.
We're not talking about the Giants.
In the Super Bowl.
We're not talking about the Giants. I hate
my
Eli
point,
Manning.
and you just proved my point as to what the better rivalry is by saying that.
I hate Eli Manning with a burning passion. If there's anyone in the NFL that I've enjoyed watching decline, and while Max Kellerman said that the cliff for Tom Brady's coming, that cliff was so long ago for Eli Manning. I take pleasure watching him throw interceptions. I took pleasure when I heard that he was, okay, I shouldn't say that. I was upset for the slightest moment out of respect to Eli Manning when they sat him, and that ended his starting streak. But I also took great pleasure in it, thinking, this is the end. The end is near.
And yeah, I think the end is finally here with him. Fortunately.
All right, guys, don't forget to check out Mike Schneid, Mike Drop Sports. Check out MS Schneid on Twitter, Mike Drop Sports on Instagram and Facebook. Their podcast can also be heard on their website, iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcasts. It's great stuff, ladies and gentlemen. Trust me, you're going to want to check it out. Mike, it's always a pleasure having you on. Look forward to talking more NFL with you soon, my friend.
Yeah, appreciate you having me on. Take care.
All right, have a good one.
Money isn't real. Doesn't matter. It only seems like it does.